Israel had barely left Egypt when Pharaoh changed his mind. The man who had watched 10 plagues devastate his nation, who had buried his firstborn son, who had personally told Moses to take the people and go, he changed his mind. He took 600 choice chariots and every chariot in Egypt and pursued them. By the time Israel looked up, Pharaoh's entire army was bearing down on them. The sea was in front of them, and every route of escape had closed. What happened next is important to read carefully. The people did not pray, they did not worship, but turned on Moses and said, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us here to die in the wilderness? We told you to leave us alone. We told you it was better to serve the Egyptians than to die out here." That is who God was working with at the Red Sea. Not a people of great faith, but a people who, at the first sign of danger after the greatest deliverance in their history, concluded that slavery would have been preferable. And Moses, standing in front of a terrified and accusing crowd with a sea at his back, said this, Exodus 14 verses 13 to 14 NKJV, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Stand still." Those 2 words sit in the middle of a military emergency with a kind of authority that is almost startling. Not because they are passive, but because they require something harder than fighting. The willingness to stop, to trust, and to wait on God to move when everything in you is screaming to do something. That is what Moses asked of Israel, and it is the same thing God asks when the army is behind you and the sea is in front. What makes this more than a single moment in history is that God said the same thing again. Centuries after the Red Sea, King Jehoshaphat received word that 3 armies were marching against Judah at once. The Bible says he was afraid. He did not hide that. He called a fast across the nation and stood before the people, and said plainly that he did not know what to do. That honesty is worth pausing on. The king of Judah, in front of everyone, admitted he had no answer. God responded through the prophet Jehaziel with words so close to Exodus 14, that they cannot be accidental. 2 Chronicles 20 verse 17 NKJV, "You will not need to fight in this battle. Position yourselves, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, who is with you, O Judah and Jerusalem. Do not fear or be dismayed, tomorrow go out against them, for the Lord is with you." Jehoshaphat did not organize a military response, he appointed singers to go out ahead of the army, praising God. And the Bible records that when Judah arrived at the battlefield, the 3 enemy armies had already destroyed each other. There was nothing left to fight. They spent 3 days collecting the spoil because there was too much to carry in one trip. What had come to bury them had become their provision. That is not a coincidence of history. That is God's character on display twice, centuries apart, making the same point. He fought for his people, they standing still was the instruction and the battle was his. The question the 2 passages together are asking is a straightforward one. What is pursuing you? Not metaphorically, but actually. What has followed you out of one season into the next, and has not let go? The financial pressure that showed up the moment things seemed to be turning around. The old habit that came back when the stress got high enough. The grief that seemed manageable until it was not. The relationship wound that healed on the surface but still pulls underneath. Whatever it is that has been gaining on you, the word at the Red Sea is also the word over it. God does not ask you to have it figured out. Jehoshaphat stood before his people and said he did not know what to do, and God still moved. Israel stood at the Red Sea accusing Moses, and God still parted the water. The people in both stories were not models of composure. They were afraid, they were angry, and in Israel's case they were ready to go back to the thing that had enslaved them, and God moved anyway. That matters because it means his response to your situation is not contingent on how well you are holding it together. He is not waiting for you to reach a certain level of faith before he acts. What he asks is position, not performance. Stand still, keep your face toward him, and let him work. The point Moses made at the Red Sea was not just that God would act that day. He said, "The Egyptians you see today you shall see again no more forever." That is a word with a horizon in it. Not just deliverance from the immediate threat, but the permanent removal of what has been chasing you. That army did not regroup and come back, it was finished at the sea. That is the kind of resolution God is capable of, not a temporary reprieve, and not a relief that lasts until the next wave. He gives you a permanent closure of the sea behind you so that what pursued you cannot follow where you are going. The same God who did it for Israel and for Jehoshaphat is the God who sees what is behind you right now. The threat has a ceiling, and that ceiling is Him. The Lord is already standing between you and what is chasing you. You do not need to manufacture the breakthrough. You do not need to build the escape route yourself or fight every battle with your own hands. The instruction at the Red Sea and at the battlefield of Jehoshaphat was not about preparation, it was about position. Stand still and watch what God does with what you cannot handle. The Egyptians you see today, you shall see again no more forever. That promise was spoken once at a sea in the desert and echoed centuries later over a different people in a different crisis, because God wanted there to be no confusion about whether it was a one-time event. It is His pattern, it is who He is, and it is the word He is speaking over whatever is behind you right now. Hold your peace, the Lord will fight for you. Today's post was titled "The Egyptians You See Today, You Shall See No More." Share it with someone close to you now. God bless you.